Okay, you're live.
Testing, can you hear me, Elaine?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So are the board members that are there in attendance in person, are they on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to call this special meeting to order. I apologize for not being in there in person. I am down in Manistee, Michigan. I help chair part of CORA, and there's a United Tribes of Michigan meeting here tonight and tomorrow, of which I'm the vice president, so that's why I'm here. So we'll start with roll call.
Tyler.
Here.
Isaac.
Here.
Darcy.
Here.
Michael.
Here.
Lana. Here. Betty.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Kimberly Hampton. I see her there. Bridget.
Here.
Kimberly Lee.
Here.
Rob McGrory.
Here.
Kimberly Hampton. I see her on there.
Kim, are you on? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. We have a quorum on today's agenda. We have invocation, but that wasn't set up because obviously I'm not there. We have 4 resolutions. There are remove requirement for positive majority, voiding special election, forgiving fines, transferring investigative authority from election committee to prosecutor's office. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, all those in favor signify by
I gotta
saying aye.
get my hands up. I got a motion to conflict out Austin, Betty, Kim Hampton if she's on.
We already have a
Isaac,
motion on
and
the floor.
Rob.
We already have a motion on the floor. All right, so all those in favor, of
Do I
Darcy,
not have the right to interject and say that I conflict them out? I'm asking for legal's input now.
not to interrupt the speaker, there's already a motion on the floor in a second. So, all right, all those in favor
To
with
vote
approving
on
the
this agenda
agenda.
that I'm conflicting them out on the agenda.
Darcy,
Aye.
Darcy, you're out of order. Stop. So. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed.
No,
All right, Mike opposed, Darcy opposed, anyone else?
Bridget and Lana.
Okay, mark that down.
I motion to conflict.
Hold on a minute, Darcy. All right,
No,
so
I
the
can do it.
agenda is
Legal just-
adopted. Now you can make your motion.
Okay. I got a motion. Oh, Elaine needs to know the vote.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and make your motion, Darcy.
Okay, I'm gonna motion to conflict you out, Austin, Betty, Kim Hampton, Rob, and Isaac.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay. Betty has your hand up. So you guys in person, if you want to speak, put your hand up and I'll call on you. Go ahead, Betty. Betty,
On what grounds is Darcy trying to conflict us out?
The grounds are that you have a court case right now over at tribal court and all of you were fined. That's self-serving.
This is just to notify the board that I notified the tribe's court administrator yesterday that I withdrew my appeal.
You also received a fine.
any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
The conflicted people, do they vote? So you don't-
Absolutely.
No, you don't.
Well, I am.
Okay. Bridget.
Yes.
Darcy.
Yes.
Tyler.
No.
Isaac, can't vote. Sean,
No.
No.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Kimberly Hampton.
No.
She can't. She can't. You got Rob.
Does
Lana,
anyone object to taking a 5-minute recess? I want to
Yes.
go legal on this. Does anyone object?
Motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Is there a second?
Second,
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed?
Opposed.
Darcy, anyone else?
Opposed.
Okay, Bridget, anyone else?
Lana.
Lana, anyone else? Okay, motion carries. 5-minute recess.
Aaron Schlaber is actually telling him what he just told us and that the conflicted people cannot vote.
I wish to pull my resolution on the fines.
You have to wait. Now we've been noticing you have to wait.
You are not running this meeting, Lana.
Obviously.
I can tell, yeah.
Chapter 14. Section 3, the second sentence. Board member who is responsible for motions. See it?
Conversations you can have in the open though, but it doesn't look good. Just to me, it's like we're trying to figure out how to get around it, right? Because they don't know the rules.
Well, it should also be, it should always be a role when it's, especially in this,
Yeah.
because you can't tell who's.
Well, that, nobody preferred for close. Nobody asked for close. So we should be having this discussion.
Absolutely, that's what I said. Why was he going to decide?
Violating.
They're violating Open Meetings Act, exactly.
Can you ask the members that are on Zoom why they're not here?
The members or the board members?
The board members that are not present, why are they on Zoom and not here in person?
I don't know.
We deserve an
The
explanation.
only one that I know of is Austin Dunn. I don't
The only
know.
one that explained anything. Why hasn't anybody else?
I live 2.5 hours away. I made it. Oh, now they're gonna be suggesting a recess.
I mean, we've been beat up how many times? Right.
Section 96, with the Open Meetings Act.
Right now they're breaking it.
They are violating chapter 96 with keeping
I object.
these 4 board members out of the conversation. Yep. They're violating. So that's not only the 4 resolutions that are on that are violating our rights, but they're doing it during the meeting. Yep. So. Bob is here, so you will be able to.
They're on recess right now, Bob.
They hold the conflict on 7 people.
5.
And then they, went into a closed session, a recess with the people online.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if it's a
I think he needs to come over here.
I know.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get seated for the people that are in attendance. And Elaine, let me know when order's been established and all the boards back together.
The board's all at the table.
All right, Aaron, I want you to explain the situation and how a conflict is being abused, potentially abused, and then we'll move through it, okay?
Well, I'll start out by saying that's not necessarily my choice of words, but that's okay. So Chapter 14 has a section on personal interest, and that's what Director Chase has brought up. It's section 14, 1110. Subpart 3 of that section specifically prohibits a board member from voting on a motion dealing with their conflict, and that's what's being discussed.
Okay.
So if a motion is made to conflict a board member out, the person who is the subject of that motion is not to vote on it. Obviously, that's causing an issue. So what I've advised the chairman to do to make sure this meeting proceeds with some kind of order, and everyone knows exactly what is happening, is I'm suggesting that if Director Chase wants to make her motion on a conflict, we do it resolution by resolution, not on all of them as a group. So the board can at least discuss what the conflict is per resolution and work through it. And then there can be a vote. When it's all 4 at a time, it's a little hard to understand and gauge exactly where we're going with things. I would also caution that the personal conflict section, for reasons that are lost to me, doesn't have any standard to it. So when we use it, everyone's left to their own device on how to vote on it. Then I would just caution everybody involved to just be wise and careful with it Because there is no standard, which means it's up to each board member on what they think the conflict is or is not. There's no guiding language that they can look to.
Okay. And the big takeaway is this vote, if it's a conflict, if it actually is, because the flip side of this is, what if there's a future meeting and someone on the new board says, I motion to conflict Lana, Mike, Darcy, and the entire owl board off. According to that code, this is the road that we're going down. So
Point
Darcy,
of information. Can I
go
make a
ahead.
point of information?
Go ahead.
She did state her standard and the reason why she called that into conflict. So if down the road that does happen, there has to be a reason why, not just they don't like me
Okay.
or something.
So which one are you referring to, Darcy? Which resolution?
I'm referring to all of them.
Okay, well, we're gonna vote on them individually. All right, so.
No,
let's-
that's not for you. We already voted on it. We've already started to vote. Members are in the audience. They've seen the vote. You cannot call to separate it out now. That didn't get done when the vote started.
Okay,
Nice
well,
try.
explain yourself. What is the conflict with the first resolution so we can all understand
I'm conflicting you out on the agenda vote.
on the
That's
agenda
what I'm
vote?
conflicting you out. Yes, that's what we're voting
We
on.
already
is
passed the agenda, Darcy.
No, we didn't. You
We
made a
did.
motion in a second and I made the motion to conflict you out.
Okay. Aaron, what are your thoughts on that? Can someone interrupt in the event that there's a conflict?
Yeah, that's the part of the discussion.
I've never seen a motion to conflict on just approving the agenda.
Neither have I. Neither have I.
But
That's what I mean, these games.
14.110 is just completely silent on it. So you have to make a ruling.
All right, I am going to rule that the agenda is adopted, and if someone wants to
can
make a
you rule
motion
on
to
the
conflict anyone out, they can do so on individual resolutions, because I mean, it's clear. To remove the requirement for positive majority, there isn't a conflict on that. To transfer the investigative authority from the election committee to the prosecutor's office, there's no conflict. You can make an argument that there's a conflict with forgiving fines, but the other three resolutions, there isn't an argument. And Darcy, if you want to go down this road, what happens?
Hey, point of information,
makes an-
please.
Go ahead.
Hey, resolution 2005-171 says the election committee must establish their rules and come back to the board. They chose not to do that, so we're not in conflict.
Okay.
Our resolution's the law of the tribe.
Okay. All right. So the agenda has been adopted. I have made a ruling on that. I have.
No, it hasn't. We didn't even vote on the agenda. We
We
started the vote
absolutely
on the
did.
conflict. Elaine, did we approve the agenda?
Order.
She confirmed that the agenda is approved. So now we have to go through each item.
Yep.
And-
So let's move on to the first resolution. Remove requirement for positive majority. Kim, could you read that, please?
Yes. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Directors amends Tribal Code Chapter 14, Rules of Parliamentary Procedure at Section 14.118 as follows. 14.118 Recall Motions. 3A, the motions to rescind or amend something previously adopted allow the Board of Directors to change a previous action of the board. These motions can be made if written notice of intent to make the motion which details the complete substance of the proposed motion to rescind or amend something previously adopted, including a copy of any proposed resolution, is provided to all board members at least 5 days in advance of the meeting. These motions require a second. Except as may be otherwise required in the tribal constitution and bylaws, a simple majority vote is required for passage. The motions are debatable but not amendable, and a negative vote on these motions can be reconsidered, but an affirmative vote cannot be reconsidered.
Motion.
All right. So we have a motion by Betty.
I'll second. This is
All right,
Kim Hampton.
second. All right. Board discussion. Get your hands up on Zoom if you want to speak on this.
Mine's up.
Okay. All right. All right. So your iPhone, Lana. All right. Go ahead. Lana, Mike, Darcy, Bridget.
Okay, just to be clear, so this language that's bolded in our resolution is what we're changing it to, because right now it's a positive majority in the code that we have, and we're changing it to a simple majority.
Correct.
Yes.
So the author of this resolution, I'd like to know, I mean, as far as I've been here way too long, but as far as I can remember, this has never really come up in a discussion. So what is the standing behind this to change it?
Okay. All right. So Betty instructed Aaron to draft it. So Aaron, could you give some feedback on it?
It's,
No. Aaron wrote it up because he was
Yeah.
directed.
You asked for the author of it. So
That's not
Aaron's the
appropriate,
author.
Betty.
Go ahead, Aaron.
well, from my point of view, it's pretty simple. We're changing what requires a vote of 7 down to a vote of 6. And it applies to all previous action taken by the board. That's a rule that's been in place since this chapter 14 wasn't adopted. So there's nothing complicated about it. It's simply a reduction in vote requirement.
Thank you, Aaron. So Betty, can you give me some insight to why you want to change this?
Simple reason, just states what it said. You have to accept that. It's going down. The simple majority. Thank you.
You good, Lana?
No, but
Keep going then.
Mike, are you done?
All right. I'm going to call on Mike then. Lana, keep talking. I'm calling Mike.
Lana's
All right,
done.
I want to do, well, first of all, there's a point of information. Aaron stated that it drops it from 7 to 6, which is not the case. Simple majority could be 3 to 2.
yeah.
It could be.
Yeah. Thank you.
absolutely
Thank you.
anything.
Yeah,
So,
I said that wrong.
okay. And this is regards to anything that's been previously passed. So if it took, the majority, or the whole board could pass something, and then 6 months down the road, or 2 years later, they could change it, and it could be 3 to 2 vote, and it could change it. So this is a dangerous practice. This is a setting precedents. Robert's Rules of Orders are pretty clear on this. It's almost universally adopted through all governments from throughout the whole world on how to conduct business. So this is very dangerous. It's been over 20 years since the tribe's been using parliamentary procedures. So I'm a no. Thank you.
Darcy.
Yeah, and just to follow up, same as Mike, as long as I've been here, we've done this. This is to take over the tribe with this rogue 7 that we have. And like Mike said, it could be down to 3 to 2. They can abstain. They abstain a lot. You saw that last meeting.
I object.
This is just another way to try to control the 4 old board members that are here. Because we stopped.
I object to that.
This time.
Darcy.
Objection.
Darcy. You're
I
out of
have
order.
the floor. I
heard
can
that
talk
you
all
had
I
the
want.
Objection
I'm
and
not
order.
saying nobody's
Darcy,
name.
you're out of order.
No, I'm not, Austin.
Yes, you are. You can't
Should
imply
have showed
motive.
up, I guess. So
I'm
the
at Cora.
members
Where are
need
you
to
at?
know
Where are the
exactly
Fishers?
what's going on. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bridget, go ahead.
Well, I agree with the other two. Aaron Slober, as our legal counsel, would you recommend any body of government to change this?
I would recommend modifications to it because it has caused problems with how it's been applied. I would be very leery of a wholesale change. As someone just mentioned, a lot of legislatures have a rule like this in place to protect continuity of government, but there are areas where it has been an impediment. Budgets is a good example. So I think there's probably middle ground that would be good for the tribe here.
So as written and proposed, you don't agree with it?
No, I do not as written.
So there you go. You guys, are you going to go against your legal counsel like you did last time and we end up firing the legal counsel?
Point of information.
Go ahead, Rob.
It is the duty of the board to govern. We don't govern through legal counsel, although I agree with Aaron on most things.
Way to go, Nancy Hatch.
Bridget, you're out of order. You done? You good?
Hey, Bridget, I can give you 88
Darcy,
million
Isaac.
reasons why we
Isaac.
fired our last general
So
counsel.
can I.
Isaac.
It was Rob's resolution to hide
Yeah,
our
if you
assets.
no, if you
All
would have
right,
took
you're
the
both out
advice.
of order, you guys. Knock it off.
No,
You
She
guys,
wants
if you,
to attack. Let's let everybody
Come
know
on,
what's
Isaac,
going
why aren't you
on.
here in person? Don't you live close to
you
here? Some
guys,
of us go
stop it right now. You're
fellowship.
both out of order right now.
Censor her.
Stop it now. Betty,
No, she asked why we got rid of, she mentioned why we got rid of the general counsel.
Orders
she
of the
was
day.
completely out of
It's
order.
because we
And you have
got
your hand up.
sued in state court and we chose not to
Austin, you need to
defend
shut him
ourselves.
down and get on back on the
Isaac,
agenda.
Isaac, let's get this going. All right. Betty,
I still have the floor.
okay, well, stop being out of order.
Well, control your relatives who are out of order.
I haven't called anyone that's related to me out of
Well,
order. Just
I'll be
you.
going to the BIA if this passes. That's all you got for a warning.
Bridget, finish your turn, please.
You're so cool.
I'd like to make a motion to censor Bridget.
I second that.
Okay, any discussion? What's the amount? What's the amount? The max
2,000.
is $5,000.
Do what?
Excuse me, who made the motion and tell me how much the amount is?
Point of information.
Hold on a second. Who made the
Austin?
motion?
I have a point of information that supersedes the discussion.
Okay, what's your point of information?
If information is that is not on the agenda.
Okay, duly noted. Who made the motion?
Kim Lee.
Okay, Kim Lee, what's the dollar amount on what you're proposing?
$1,000.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yep, I do.
Go ahead.
Aaron, inside this meeting, can they add a censor? Blurt out a censor and do that without it being on the agenda?
Yeah, it's a motion. It's not a resolution. Anybody, you can make any motion you want.
Okay,
No,
anyone else?
Procedural.
Okay.
The censorship requires 2/3 vote.
I
Anyone
guess
else?
in my defense, I hope this happens every time somebody talks
I
because
object.
I'm not the first.
Okay,
I object.
anyone else? All right, roll call vote on this.
Darcy.
Absolutely no.
Tyler.
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
Sean.
No.
Michael.
No.
Kim Lee.
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton.
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Lana.
No.
Betty.
Yes.
Bridget, can you vote on yourself? No. Counselor.
Yeah, motion fails, 6 yeses, 4 nos. Okay, let's get back to business, guys. Okay. So we're still on the first resolution. Who's got their hand up to speak? Okay, see no more
Lana.
hands, roll call vote.
No,
Lana.
my hand's up.
Go ahead.
Just fill me in here. What are we voting on? I'm a little out of sorts here.
This is the first
Vote
resolution.
requirement for positive majority.
Correct, yes. It lowers
Okay.
the standard from 7 to simple majority.
Yep. That's I've been here a long time and this has never changed. This should be in place for a reason. I agree with some of the other board members that said it's very dangerous to change this. And one other thing, we did not have, and this is worthy of the membership to know, we did not have one single discussion yesterday, I was here all day, or workshop any of these items for us to ask any questions. So that's important for people to know, in a professional conversation to have about it, even with some of the stuff that Aaron had mentioned. I'm still a hard no on it, but none of these items tonight have we workshopped. Thank you.
I have a point of parliamentary inquiry. How many votes will this take? Because it takes positive majority now to change it. So how many
7, because
votes
it's a
will
code
need?
change.
Okay, just wanted to be clear.
All right, Isaac,
Hey, Aaron, I believe this happened when Bernard lost office.
He can't speak inside a vote.
During vote.
That's good. Well,
Did you just get
we
done
didn't, we
speaking?
didn't do roll call, Lana, because people still had their hands up. So go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah, didn't she just get done
He had his
speaking?
hand up.
Go ahead.
Austin, she just called on him.
Hey,
Go ahead, Isaac.
can I speak now?
Yes.
Hey, Aaron, I believe this took place back in around 2002 from everything that I have read, because that's when it changed, the administration team totally changed. That's when the election of the 2000, when Aaron came into office.
Aaron came in office in 2004. Wrong.
Object. No comments from the audience.
Okay. Any other hands, guys?
Hey, I hate to tell you, I'm still got the floor. Aaron was in office in 2002. He was a director at the time. So I don't know who's in the audience, but maybe check your facts, please.
All right. Anyone else? And let's refrain from having conversations with the audience, guys. Come on now. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Roll call vote.
Lana,
No.
Michael,
No.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Tyler, Tyler,
You just skip
Bridget.
and come back to him.
Bridget,
No.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Tyler.
can now.
Yes.
740.
All right. Motion passes. The next resolution is voiding special election.
Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of
Motion.
Directors.
Second it.
Hold on, let Kim
For
finish
what?
reading it.
It's
Kim.
got to
I was
be
just gonna
read.
say. I was just gonna say I didn't even finish reading it.
Go
Now,
ahead.
therefore, it be
Sorry.
resolved. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Directors amends Tribal Code Chapter 10, Election Ordinance at Section 10.1081 as follows. 10.108 Tribal Election Committee. 1. All elections held pursuant to this chapter shall be administered by the Election Committee, subject to review of the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors shall appoint each member of the Election Committee. The Election Committee shall consist of 13 members. The Board of Directors shall appoint a chairperson of the Election Committee from the committee's own membership. No person shall be appointed who is currently holding elective office. Any member of the Election Committee shall be ineligible for tribal elective office unless he resigns from the Election Committee at least 6 months before the election deadline. The Election Committee shall establish its own administrative procedures subject to the approval of the Board of Directors and may not delegate its authority. The committee may assign specific tasks or duties as necessary to carry out ministerial tasks or duties consistent with the Constitution and this chapter. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby declares the ongoing 2023 special election to be void and orders the Election Committee to, within 30 days, post a notice of election for a subsequent special election to fill the current vacant Unit 1 Board of Directors seat. Be it further resolved that the above amendment to Chapter 10 shall expire immediately after this enactment. Be it finally resolved that all candidates that participated in the ongoing 2023 special election shall be reimbursed for expenses incurred based upon their submitted receipts.
Motion.
Motion by Betty,
Second.
support by Rob. Discussion. Start with Isaac, then Lana, then Darcy.
Hey, I will be abstaining because we still have a hearing and the court hasn't ruled yet.
Okay. Lana,
Yeah. So I was having a discussion, well, lots of discussions in the last, since this hit the thing. And again, we didn't workshop this in detail. So I'm obviously a no. I was reminded today by an elder that, and they're quite old.
Point of
in any kind-
parliamentary inquiry. You
Any
cannot
kind of,
discuss your vote.
pardon me?
You cannot discuss your vote during
We're
your
in workshop,
discussion.
Rob, or discussion. This isn't a vote.
You can't explain your vote.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I'll reframe and not explain why I'm voting no. Aaron Schleober, our legal counsel. I know this is rough, but would you ever recommend us to avoid an election when it's still going through the process? Isaac had just mentioned it's still going through the process, and to do this would be premature.
My opinion's not changed. I think this is maybe the third or fourth time I've been asked. It's in court. It's going through the process. Let it play out.
Can I motion for this to be dilatory since we've already voted on it? That has been done in the past many times when something's brought forward and people keep trying to come back until they get a vote and then even change how many votes it's going to take. This is dilatory, and I'm motioning that it's dilatory.
That would be up to the board. This is the second.
Yeah. Well, I voted on at
Time.
least 2 or 3 times. So motion that it's dilatory.
so you motion to take it off the agenda or just void it completely?
No, dilatory means that we've already addressed it at
Well, I
one point.
mean, my issue is that the last meeting had 3 resolutions, this is 1, so it's clearly a different resolution.
The intent, my argument, Austin, would be that the intent's still the exact same thing.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Take your hands down, guys, for a second. So I know if there's any discussion, fresh discussion on this. Isaac, do you have a comment on this?
No.
All right, so a yes vote would essentially remove this item from the agenda, so everyone's aware.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember at the May 20th meeting, actually it was a workshop where the majority of this board violated the law. They violated the law and nothing was done. And the majority of this board need to remember that. There was direct violation of our laws. And now look at them. And I'll
Excuse me,
continue.
who's ever shouting in the audience, this is a public meeting. If we can still hear you on Zoom, there's an issue, okay? We went through this at the last meeting where several people were escorted out by law enforcement. If you want to attend the meetings, I welcome it, but you're not going to be disruptive. Okay. Kim, go ahead.
So I agree with Chairman Lowe's on this. I disagree respectfully with Lana because this is a completely different resolution. This resolution has never been on the table before. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote on motion, on Lana's motion that this resolution is dilatory, and again, a yes vote would remove it from the agenda. So roll call.
Rob,
No.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler, Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Isaac,
No.
Sean,
Yes.
Betty, Darcy,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
No.
Tyler,
No.
Betty,
No.
So I have
six,
5 yeses, 6 no's. Is that correct, Elaine?
yes.
All right, so motion fails. All right, put your
Motion
hand
to
up if you want to be back on the discussion.
Second,
I'm sorry?
I made a motion to table.
Okay,
Bridget seconded.
okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second to table this resolution. We'll do a roll call since motions to tables aren't debatable. Voting yes on this would remove it from the agenda. Okay, roll call.
Tyler,
No.
Isaac,
Abstain.
Darcy,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty,
No.
Sean,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
No.
Bridget,
yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Rob,
No.
Looks like a tie,
Five.
hey? 5 yeses,
5 and
5
1.
no's, 1 abstention. I would vote no to break the tie. So it remains. We'll open things back up for discussion. Put your hands up if you want to speak.
Call the question.
All right, Rob has a call to question. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, roll call on that. So
Lana,
a refresher, a call to question is
No.
not voting on the resolution. It's just, are we gonna end debate and go right to the vote? So Lana votes no, keep going.
Michael,
No.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Betty,
No.
Darcy, Tyler,
No.
Bridget,
No,
Isaac,
No.
Sean,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
Motion
Kimberly
fails.
Hampton. Okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It was a yes for me.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Anyone else, Elaine?
That was it.
All right, motion fails. So we still have the resolution on the floor. Keep your hands up for discussion. All right, so I'm writing a list right now. Darcy, Lana, Mike.
I'll call her right back.
Go ahead, Darcy.
Yeah, we are in the process, like Mike said,
Second.
the court has not made any decisions. Now I see you guys have also included in here that any member of the election
Hey,
committee
Nancy,
shall be
what am I gonna say?
ineligible.
Motion to amend.
Hey, Betty.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend what?
I had the floor.
Yeah,
she's
you
on
did
the
have the,
floor.
you did
Nancy.
have the floor.
Oh,
Go
yeah,
ahead, Darcy.
sorry.
Okay, anyways, now that there, if you're on the election committee, you also have to be off at least 6 months before the election deadline. Is that something that new that's in there? That's something that was in there before? Okay, I didn't realize that that was in there. But anyways, I'm not gonna support this. I don't support it. And this is just more dirty pool that's going on. So, thank you.
Lana.
Yeah, through the years, we've worked tremendously hard to give the elections over to a group of tribal members that volunteer their time and take it very seriously to conduct elections. And for the most part, you know, we've had hiccups. We've had hiccups, and the election committee have been through the ringer time and time again, but they always do a good job on that. So back in this would also put this right back into the board's hands where it shouldn't be when it comes to an election. It's too political. And the winner of the election conducted by a group of tribal members should be upheld and go through the process. And that's what it's doing right now, going through the process. And I can't even tell you my feelings on how inappropriate and unprofessional and sad. I've seen a lot of things, but to avoid election when there was a clear vote, when all the other candidates have been professional in this as well. This is nothing more than the person that was selected. So without telling you how I'm going to vote, I just think this is a very, very sad day if this passes.
Mike.
I agree with Lana. This is beyond dangerous. This is the definition of dictator, because you cannot have an election subject to the review of the board of directors. We are totally taking control of it. If this is a preview of what's to come, then I'm very scared for our tribe. If there was so many issues with this last advisory election, because it's not, you know, this was an advisory election to advise the board on how to appoint somebody. The previous election prior to that still has outstanding issues that a special prosecutor was requested and was denied. And so those issues are still lingering, but that was on an election, on a real election. This is on a special advisory election and it's being called avoided. So I'm voting no. Yield.
Okay, Betty. All right, we'll skip Betty. Bridget.
What?
So,
Hear me now?
like Mike said, it was,
So
this
what
was
I
a
wanted to say was what was beyond dangerous is what took place at the May 10th Board of Directors workshop when 9 board of directors were
Point of
there
order.
and the secretary.
Point of order. Stick to the agenda.
And the secretary. So anyway, that's what's dangerous. And you guys need to recognize that what he's did. And like
Motion
Lana,
to table to the June 6th meeting.
And like Lana,
Can't interrupt.
You can interrupt during it for a table.
No, you
who's
cannot.
running the meeting? And like Lana, I listen to my elder constituents, even if they live out of state. And so Nancy Hatch is my constituent, whether you like it or not, and I will take her advice any day of the week where it doesn't matter. So you guys need to understand that, okay? I am gonna motion to amend this resolution.
Amend it how?
Oh, there's two.
Point of
too many
information.
violations.
Hold
There
on a
are too
minute.
Aaron
many-
or Austin,
What?
the table, Aaron Schleover just said would take precedence over an amendment, and I already motioned to table.
You
to a
cannot
time
interrupt the
certain.
speaker. You have to wait your turn. You can look up parliamentary rules. I have the sheets right in front of me. I do every single meeting.
Yeah, well, there's just too many code violations.
Okay, how are you amending the resolution? Can you hear me? Okay, Betty, we'll get back to you. We're losing you a little bit. Go ahead, Bridget.
Motion to table.
This is Bridget.
Motion to table.
Okay, so there's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
second.
Okay. All right, so we'll do roll call on that because motions to table aren't debatable, and voting yes tables it obviously, so it's off the agenda for today. Roll call.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Tyler,
No.
Isaac,
No.
Sean,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
No.
Rob,
No.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty,
No.
Yeah.
6,
Motion
5, 6.
fails. All right, so we still have it on the floor. Bridget, did you give your turn to Lana or something? Because I called on you and Lana spoke.
No, I did not.
Okay, well, that can't happen again. Bridget, go ahead.
Well, going off of what others have said, this was supposed to be an advisory election. And the way it used to work is the board could appoint whoever they wanted. They could appoint somebody that never ran if they really wanted to. And then the code was changed to take the highest vote getter. And you guys made that change. So Joanne Carr had the most votes by probably 400 votes. She did not violate the code. There was no infractions, nothing on her. So I have no idea why we would void an election when somebody won. And it wasn't a close vote. And it was acknowledged at the last meeting that there is still outstanding complaints on the 2022. So when people are saying issues with the 2023, there's issues from 2022. So it's talking out of two sides of your mouth. So thank you.
Rob, then Betty.
Okay, well, I'll respond to Mike's comment about the board not intervening in elections. It's our job. You take a oath to uphold the Constitution, to uphold the code. Can you please control the crowd there?
All right,
Can you-
law enforcement, the people that are continuously out of order, eject them from the meeting, please.
So if you look in chapter 10, it clearly states that the election code is subordinate to the Constitution. The Constitution clearly states under powers section N that the board may delegate its authority. Delegation is not a relinquishment, and it's very clear at the end of that. It says, comma, shall reserve the right to. That shall reserve the right to means that if the board wanted to relinquish its authority, it cannot. We cannot supersede our Constitution with code. The board shall reserve the right to review and cancel any such delegations, especially in the event of fraudulent elections. There was multiple code violations. The code specifically says that the timeline shall be released within 3 days. Shall. It's not debatable. That did not happen. The ballots were late. Please control your crowd there.
Law enforcement, you've been instructed to eject people that are continuously out of order.
I yield.
Betty.
I am going to motion to void this election, the special advisory election of 2023, due to the many code violations.
I second that.
All right, discussion.
I'd like to make a motion too.
hold on a second. We have a new one on the floor. What's your motion?
My motion is to conflict anyone that has any kind of election violations from voting on this.
Which is who?
Second.
Which is who? Lana, which is who?
Well, I'm really not clear on who they are, but,
And then explain how this
okay, then
conflicts with
I'm
being able to
Betty,
vote on this.
I'm really not sure who has them and who doesn't, because, but from discussions, it would be Betty, Kim Hampton, Tyler.
I'm sorry, I don't have any violations.
Yeah,
I
you don't.
know
I apologize. I
election
apologize.
are you referring to,
Let
Lana?
me speak. I
am letting you
apologize,
speak, but I
Tyler.
need clarification. What election are you referring to?
Let me
Betty
work
didn't run
on
in
it
the
here.
last
Let
election.
me work on it here. We got all night. Let me work on it. So Betty, Isaac, Kim Hampton, and I guess I need a point of information. Does anybody else have Austin? So Austin doesn't vote anyways, and Rob.
What election are you
So those are
referring
the
to, though?
names.
That's what I'm confused about.
Elaine got it. Elaine is here. We're in person. She can hear me. So Elaine, did you get my?
Motion to conflict anyone with an election violation on this for the 23 election. Betty, Kim H, Isaac, Austin, Rob.
Okay.
22.
Okay.
Yep, you got it, Elaine. She's got it, Austin. Thank you. That's my motion.
Okay. Could I just ask
She
why?
named Isaac.
Point of information.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm speaking. Could I ask why? And what election are we referring to? The election of 2020, 2022? Which one? Ever? And how does it relate to this resolution?
She wrote down 2022. That's to answer one question. And I couldn't quite hear the other question, Austin.
How does it relate to this resolution? This is an election between Nicole Cosley, Sheila Berger, right?
Well, in my
Joanne
opinion,
Carr?
my opinion is that anybody that would vote that has complaints pending shouldn't be voting to void an election. That's just my opinion. I'm going to vote
Even a
that way,
different
and
election?
the rest of us can too. Thank you,
Okay.
Austin, for those questions.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second to void out which people again? Elaine, could you tell me?
Lana's motion was to conflict anyone with an election violation on this from 22. Betty, Kim Hampton, Isaac, Austin, Rob.
Okay. Keep
Point
your
of
hands
information.
down. We'll do a discussion. All right.
Point of information.
Hold on a second. All right, put your hand up if you have a question. Go ahead. Rob, go first. Rob, Darcy.
So the Constitution says a conflict is a personal interest. Personal interest is if you were to make a monetary gain off it. There's going to be no monetary gain off any of this. And my point of information was that I do not have a pending complaint. So I don't. So, but
Does that change things, Lana? Do you want Rob taken off, or do you still want?
There's not a confliction. And a confliction is personal gain. I don't think anybody that she mentioned would personally gain from this. It's asinine.
My motion stands, Rob.
Even though he doesn't have an election fine or a violation? Lana, I need clarification.
My
You said
motion
that-
stands.
Okay, so Lana still wants to have Rob motion conflicted out. Darcy.
Yeah, my hand was up to talk about this. Are you talking about this motion now? That's what we're on?
Yes, this is a motion to conflict.
Yeah, well, I'm fine to just vote on that. I don't have anything to say on that, and you should be
Okay,
conflicted
take your
out.
hand down then. Hampton.
So I agree with Rob that we don't have a conflict of interest to this resolution because we have no personal interest or no personal monetary gain or any gain by voting on a resolution that has to do with a special advisory election. And whatever, I don't have any pending investigations regarding an election either. Thank you.
Isaac,
Okay, I'm going to revert back to resolution 2005-171. Clearly states that the board of directors concerned that any such adopted rules provided for basic due process and fairness to all parties. Now therefore be resolved that no adverse actions of any kind can be taken by the election committee against any tribal member until such time as the board of directors approve any such rules. I do not believe any rules for the 2022 election were presented to the board. So I have no conflict of interest.
anyone else? Okay, we're going down this road. Roll call. And
What?
Elaine, don't mention the people who can't vote because of the conflict. Or the proposed conflict.
Okay. Bridget,
Yes.
Tyler,
Hey, Austin, my hand was up.
No.
Michael,
Yes.
Lana,
Yes.
Sean,
No.
Darcy,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
four and 3 out of 7.
All right, that motion passes. So on this resolution, who can't vote? I'm getting confused because some people didn't have violations who were included. Who can't vote, Elaine?
Betty, Kim, H, Isaac, Austin, Rob.
That's crazy.
Okay, that's the road we'll go down. All right, so we're finishing up the discussion on this. Who has their hand up? And remember to respect.
Just a moment, Austin. Aaron's looking something up real quick. I think he's got a point.
It's going to take a positive majority.
Not anymore. We just changed it to simple majority.
Oh, just
14-110 says positive majority. It was not changed.
All right. So that would fail then, Aaron?
14-110 says positive majority. That was not changed.
All right, well, so you need positive majority to conflict people out,
That's
so that fails.
Point of
Point of info.
information. That's exactly what we changed, Aaron.
Just changed 14-110.
We're here. Look.
14-1-8.
This one, 14-110-3 is what we changed. We voted, yeah, but we voted on that it takes only a simple majority.
All right, let's get back to the list, guys. Motion fails.
No, you guys,
Hold on,
wait,
hold on.
no, everybody stop. You're all wrong. Listen. There is a code provision that when we do an amendment or as we call the recall of something previously adopted under chapter 14, it said 7 until about an hour ago. That's now a simple majority. There are all kinds of other provisions throughout the entire code that require 7 outside of what was changed an hour ago. There are also some resolutions that specifically in their terms require 7. You did not change that. All you did is change that section under recall. You did not change the multitude of other areas that still require 7. Personal interest is still one that requires 7.
Okay. So
Any
it
questions
fails.
from the board on that, guys?
Fails, correct?
It fails.
Okay. Any questions on that? We got the discussion going up. Betty, then Darcy.
I have a motion on the table to void this election. What's the status on that now?
Okay,
I
we're
was
there.
just going to say that.
Okay, so do we have a second on that? We've gone all over the place.
I second
Had-
it.
Okay.
We had the motion, Betty had the motion to void the election of 2023. Kimberly Hampton seconded it.
Point of parliamentary, we have a resolution on the floor, though. The motion, is that in conjunction with her motion? I'm not understanding how you do a motion when you have a resol on the floor.
I amended that.
You did not amend it.
Oh, didn't I?
No. What are you trying to do, Betty?
I want a motion to void the election because there are too many code violations with the
Well,
election.
we have,
committee.
Betty, we have a resolution on the floor that does that. Do you want to change the resolution? Some of the content that's in there? Is that
No.
what you're not? No? So you're just motioning to void the election?
I do want to amend that.
Okay, so you're motioning to amend. What are you trying to amend?
I want to void the entire special advisory election.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I want to void it, because I made an amendment to void that so that there's too many code violations. Why am I not getting through to anybody?
Okay, well, there's a resolution on the floor that does that. What part of this resolution don't you like? That's what I'm trying to get at. Do you not want there to be a subsequent special advisory election? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Point
Okay.
of information, Betty, you could strike everything else from the resolution and keep void the election.
Okay,
You could
is
make
that what
that
you're doing,
motion.
Betty?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Point of
discussion.
information. Yep, I just have a point of information, Austin.
Just take the floor, go ahead.
How many votes will this take, Aaron Schleober?
I don't understand the motions.
I do too, but
So she's motioning to amend it to strike everything out except just simply void the election. So it's a motion to amend. So how many, you would obviously just need a simple majority. We're not voting on the resolution. We're just voting on the amendment right now. But are you talking about overall to pass the overall resolution, Lana?
he's trying to figure it out. I'm going to need a legal opinion, how many votes this is going to need while we're inside this meeting. And he's
Okay.
just researching a little bit, so.
All right.
So
Well,
if I
right now, we're
understand,
just on the motion to
He's
amend, and
talking.
that just requires a simple majority. So we're not there voting on just the finished product yet. So, all right, Darcy.
I'm.
Point of information. No, Austin, you can't make a motion when we're discussing a resolution.
I'm
That's
not
what
making
he's
a motion.
confused about.
Yes, you can. You can motion to amend. That's what Betty did.
So we have a motion to amend.
Betty wants to
Motion to
essentially
amend.
strike all the language except just void the election.
Except the title. All right, leave the title.
Obviously, she just doesn't, it sounds like she doesn't want there to be a follow-up special advisory election and it's just to void the election. Am I correct, Betty?
That's correct.
Simple majority.
Okay, so this is a motion to amend. You need a
Simple
simple
majority.
majority. You good, Lana?
We're not changing code. We're just, it's simple majority.
Darcy?
Aaron, my question is when they came in and changed that special election and said that it was an automatic, and that didn't happen, are they in violation of that resolution right now?
The election that's currently over in court being litigated?
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's still in court being litigated. So the election isn't over yet. So no. process is still playing out.
Hold on, let me keep this list
But
going.
we were
Darcy, you
told
good?
before it would be illegal if we made a decision before the court did. Correct?
If the board takes action in contravention of existing chapter 10, then you subject yourself to consequences up to including a petition for removal because you violated the election ordinance. That's why when I was asked to put this together, whether I agree with it or
You gotta
not.
use a mic, Aaron.
Sorry, I thought it was on. I guess for lack of a better word, the legal way to do it is to change 10 so that the action does not violate chapter 10. So my answer to this specific question is the resolution number blank with only the title voiding special election does not change chapter 10. Chapter 10 stands with all of its language, and the board would then potentially have other things to deal with, which we've talked about a couple times. That's the board's choice.
Point
Thank
of
you.
information on that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Under what authority would they be able to have then to void the election if we don't have the language that gives them the authority to void the election? They would not have the authority to void an election unless this language stays. So they would need this language to be able to void it. So if you scratch everything and then go to just voiding, they don't have the authority to just void, correct?
There are some things I can't help or answer with, and this would be one of them.
Okay. All right, Sean.
I just had a question. If Betty's amendment here goes through, so that will void paying the three candidates or reimbursing the three candidates their fees?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mike and Betty.
I already spoke. I don't see where we have the authority just to void elections without putting the language in there. And as I stated before, this is dictatorship.
Betty. All right, roll call vote.
No, no, I'm sorry, Austin, I
I'm
can't.
just, Austin, I was in the restroom.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna pull my amendment on that, okay? That's all I'm gonna do. Pull the amendment.
Does anyone object to Betty pulling that amendment and it's just getting back to the resolution?
After all that,
All right, hearing no objection, we'll move back to the regular resolution. If no one spoke, limit this to 3 times. So anyone who hasn't spoken 3 times, because we've been going rounds and rounds on this. Mike.
It's pretty important.
I just wanted to comment earlier, Director McGrory brought up the Constitution, which I think is very appropriate because he stated that a law can't supersede the Constitution, and he is correct in that assessment. And this law that says special advisory, we have to appoint someone who gets the Constitution is very clear in this. We appoint. We got an advisory election to advise us on who to appoint, but you can't supersede the Constitution. I can appoint anybody I want as a board member. Any board member can do that. So the law itself is probably unconstitutional, and we should, instead of having this huge debate, we should just be appointing Joanne Carr at the next election, in the next meeting. I yield.
All right, let's do roll call vote. I believe everyone's spoken pretty close to 3 times. Some people maybe even over. So we're voting on the entire resolution now. So the amendment to change it failed. The motion to amend it failed. So this is the entire resolution. This would void the election. There would be a redo on the election. The election committee would have to post the notice, I think within 30 days, the resolution says. It would reimburse all the candidates who ran in the election based on their receipts. Okay. So that's all.
Motion to amend to charge Betty for the next election.
Do what? All right. Motion dies due to lack of support. Roll call.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Darcy,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes, but I also object to the audience. I can hear them.
Michael,
No.
Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
No.
Isaac,
Abstain.
6, 4, and 1.
Aaron, with that first code change, how many votes does this require?
This passed.
Motion carries. Let's move on to the next resolution, which is forgiving fines.
Elaine, can I get the resolution numbers from the start tonight?
I would also like them, Elaine, just for my record keeping. Thank you.
Hey, Kim, could you read that third resolution for giving fines?
Yes.
We're getting a
Now,
reso
therefore,
number.
Be resolved that the Board of Directors amends Tribal Code Chapter 10 Election Ordinance at Section 10.1081 as follows. 10.108 Tribal Election Committee. 1. All elections held pursuant to this chapter shall be administered by the Election Committee subject to review of the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors shall appoint each member of the Election Committee. The Election Committee shall consist of 13 members. The Board of Directors shall appoint a chairperson of the Election Committee from the committee's own membership. No person shall be appointed who is currently holding elective office. Any member of the Election Committee shall be ineligible for tribal elective office unless he resigns from the Election Committee at least 6 months before the election deadline. The Election Committee shall establish its own administrative procedures subject to the approval of the Board of Directors and may not delegate its authority. The committee may assign specific tasks or duties as necessary to carry out ministerial tasks or duties consistent with the Constitution and this chapter. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors hereby declares that all fines levied by the Election Committee that are currently and or allegedly owed are waived. Be it further resolved that the above amendment to Chapter 10 shall expire immediately after its enactment.
Motion.
Motion by Betty. There's support. Support by Tyler. Discussion. Start with Darcy, then.
Yeah, I'd like to motion the conflict. I'd like to conflict out the board members that have received fines. This is a little self-serving, don't you think? And then you're also gonna enact it and expire it at the same meeting. That is such a joke. This is so ridiculous on every level. I just can't even believe this. I'm
Second.
living a nightmare.
Darcy, you're out of order.
No, I'm not.
Second.
I
Any
want to
discussion?
conflict out Austin,
Darcy.
Isaac, Rob, Kim Hampton, and Betty.
Okay, read that again.
Austin, Isaac, Rob, Kim Hampton, and Betty.
Okay. All right, any discussion?
I don't know if Tyler had a fine, guys. I don't know.
Isaac.
I didn't
Tyler-
have a fine or any violations. I did not have anything.
Well, if the court finds it and it's lying, it'll come out.
I object to that. That is character
Is it my
attack.
turn or what?
Yes, it is.
Okay, resolution 2005-171 says that they must bring the rules to the board before they assess penalties and fines. So they violated our own law. They didn't have the authority to assess fines to anybody. Please read that resolution, people.
Okay, Kim Hampton.
So I agree with Isaac on the resolution 2005-171. And another thing, during the appeal hearings, election attorney Election Committee Attorney Ben Pacito did state that the Election Committee never promulgated hearing or contests. So how could they go about and have a quote hearing when there was no policies put into place? Thank you.
Okay, Betty.
Austin, all the people that she wants to conflict out, we never had our due process rights that were violated by the election committee. And Isaac is absolutely right. And another thing, Austin, is why are you allowing her, Darcy, to conflict over half of the board out? That's not right.
I'm not
And I
allowing. her to.
object to that.
There'll be a roll call vote, and then we were reminded of the standard of the vote. So last time they tried it, it failed. Mike.
As Director McCackney has pointed out, he keeps pointing out to specific resolution 2005-171. I was on the election committee at the time, and since then we have adopted Chapter 10. There's new rules that got adopted. There was hearing procedures that got adopted. All that's been done. I'm not sure why Ben Shapiro, the election committee chair, would have stated otherwise in an appeal, but all that has been done. The board has approved policies back over 15 years now. So I'm not sure where the misunderstanding is from. And it's unfortunate that the election committee legal advisor doesn't have those hearing things. So we should make sure he gets them promptly. Yield.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have Lana.
Yeah, when these fines were levied by the election committee, after what, 3 decades of having an election committee of tribal members run our elections, they had the full authority to levy those elections with their findings. So now if we vote to waive those, I have no idea what I'm waiving, what they found, because it was within their authority delegated by the governing body to investigate and make findings and levy fines. So another dangerous road to go down. They were in their full authority to do what they did. So my question is, by passing this, will anybody that was fined and paid it be reimbursed their fines? And that's just a yes or no.
So it says, be it further resolved that the board of directors hereby declare that all fines levied by the election committee that are currently or allegedly owed are waived. So that'd be no.
So how many, let's see, that all fines levied by the election committee that are currently and allegedly owed are waived. So how many are owed right now? Allegedly.
Point of information.
Does anybody know how many are owed right now?
I believe that's irrelevant.
It says that the board of directors hereby declares all fines levied by the election committee that are currently and or allegedly owed are waived. You believe that's an irrelevant question, Kim? That is pertinent to the resolution. So can anybody answer how much we're going to waive and who it is? That's pertinent to what I'm voting on.
We want to know too.
All right, Kim Hampton.
So my question is not going to be answered.
Who are you asking it to?
Anybody who, I don't know. I mean, I didn't draft the resolution with any content, so I don't, I would like to, what are we, does anybody know what we're going to be waiving? How much and who?
Okay. Going once, going twice.
That
Sound like
information is
anyone knows
not
the info.
available.
Betty, let's stick to the list. Kim Hampton.
So once again, I already heard the comment that somebody's not sure why the election committee attorney Ben Pachito would make a statement in an appeals hearing, but he did. So the fact that he did confirm with appeal judges that the election committee never promulgated hearing policies. He stated it in there. So yeah, I mean, it's not applicable. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, Darcy, then Isaac, then Tyler.
There's not much more to say on this than, like I said earlier, this is a self-serving. We can't get answers. We don't know anything, like Lana said earlier, no workshops. Just call the lawyer and have whatever you want drawn up and it's done, and you're destroying this tribe. That's what's happening here.
Darcy, you're
And,
out of
I'm
order.
not gonna agree to waive anybody's fines. I don't care if I had a fine or if anybody had a fine, they're responsible to pay their fines, not wipe away your sins.
We're cleaning up the mess that you left us, Darcy. Thanks.
Isaac, go ahead.
The men in our tribe, this is what we do, and this is what you guys do.
Hey, law enforcement, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes to eject everyone that's been screaming. 5-minute recess unless the majority of this board objects.
Stand up, disrupt.
These are your voters.
Law enforcement.
These are your voters.
Recess for 5 minutes.
Motion to adjourn.
These are your voters. These are your voters. We'll vote you out.
Motion to adjourn.
We will vote you out.
We're on recess, guys.
We
5
are
minutes.
your voters.
Don't object.
Why are you removing your voters? Why are you removing your voters? These are your voters.
I think you need to adjourn the meeting.
Is Austin still on?
He's still on. Austin, people were ejected. It's quiet in here. What are we doing?
Okay, does anyone object to us ending the 5-minute break early? All right, so for the rest of you guys in attendance, you guys can attend all you want. That's absolutely fine, but you're not going to scream from back there. You'll be ejected. Simple as that. It doesn't happen in courtrooms. Does not happen in my boardroom either. So we have a motion on the floor to, excuse me, law enforcement. Okay, let's keep going to the 5-minute break. Clear them out.
Okay.
right, can we get back to business, guys?
Darcy just went to use the restroom, Austin.
Okay, we'll keep it going. Let me know when she's back.
She's back, Austin.
Okay, so I got the list going. I have Lana on the list, Betty on the list, and Kim Lee.
So I would just say again, if we could get more detail in it, but I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think anybody really knows it. But just another reminder that the election committee levied these fines when they had the full authority to do so based on whatever their findings were. So, and just another reminder, everybody's watching us right now, what we're doing. Every tribe.
Betty.
I don't know why Lana is not getting the information that she's requesting, because I noticed that Ben Petito, the election attorney, is online. So I'm sure he would have that information for her.
Kim Lee.
I'm all set, thanks.
Darcy.
I don't have anything.
Okay, so we'll vote on this, and Aaron, this takes 7 votes. So
Austin, I did have my
Tyler's
hand
hand.
up.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Go ahead, Tyler.
I just wanted to go off the fact that, Lana's point that we don't know who's been fined what. That's the exact point we're trying to make. Nobody knows. There's been no two-way communication. And ultimately, we should make sure that fines are in the hands of the people who have the background and experience to do it. Like, again, the election committees volunteer. No fault on them. But our law enforcement and our judicial system should really be levying these fines. And just because a previous board had delegated authority to election committee doesn't mean that people shouldn't be aware of why things are being done the way they are, why fines are being levied, and transparency. Like the people at the table tonight, you've tried to remove people from votes that you don't even know if they have fines or standing judgments against them, outstanding judgments. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because none of us as the board of directors get communication from the election committee or the election committee attorney. So that's why we don't know. And wildly throwing accusations and rumors out against somebody to rile up a crowd or to make yourself feel better, that doesn't do us any good either. Like, we need to know what's actually going on. And what we're doing right now with this resolution is correcting something that we see as a wrong against a resolution that Isaac has brought up 2 or 3 times now tonight, and to make sure that we can do the proper process in the future. That's all this does. Like, it has gotten out of control. And I saw something that Nicole had wrote, like Nicole Cosley ran in the last election, and they had asked for everything up to our bank statements, and they didn't ask her for anything this time. Like there's obviously some differences in what was going on. Is it politically motivated? Absolutely, I believe it is. But the problem is everybody around this table tonight is going around trying to eliminate people from votes, trying to say, oh, we don't even know who's this is. Well, that's the problem, guys. We don't know because there's no communication. You don't delegate authority and not get authority or get that delegation reported back to you. Like that is not something that's done. And it's unacceptable and it needs to change. And we're starting the correction right now.
We do know that Joanne Carr won the election.
Miigwech.
Okay.
Isaac. Isaac, you can go ahead. Your hand was up. Do you have a question still or no? Comment?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
again, resolution 2005-171, right? In the history notes of the code, I do not see anything that overrides that resolution. I think, and we all know that anytime they assess penalties, they should come back to the board and we wouldn't be talking about who has a fine, who doesn't have a fine. I'm in total agreement with Tyler. This is just politically motivated and they didn't follow the law. So I know how I'm voting.
Darcy.
Yeah, Isaac, you can keep saying the resolution 2005. Mike completely told you where the change happened, when it happened. You guys earlier took the votes from 9 votes to 7 so you could get the dirty deals that we're doing right now because we were able to hold you off, the 4 of us.
Objection.
You're out of order, Darcy.
7. No, I'm not, Isaac, Austin, I'm speaking. As far as you eliminated Joanne tonight because you had 7 votes to do that. Now you're gonna do the forgiving of the fines. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. And you just set the precedence. I laughed when you said transparency, Tyler. That's really, really funny.
You're out of
And
order,
I was a
Darcy.
problem in the past. No, I wasn't a problem in the past.
Darcy's
I
just
have no
surrendered her turn.
problem
Go ahead,
speaking to the
Mike.
members the truth. You
Go ahead,
guys,
Mike.
unfortunately, don't.
I motion to remove Darcy
I
Morrow
have
from
the
the
floor.
meeting.
You can't move someone from the meeting.
Can't remove someone from the meeting.
You can censor them, but you can't remove them from the conversation. I would like to point out, though, do I have the floor, Chair?
Point of information, you can remove someone, you can't remove them from the subsequent meeting.
You
That
can't.
would be next meeting. Look up the censure in chapter 14.
There's been a discussion having the election committee not do this and that it's better served by the board, which I completely disagree with. But this, Tyler made it a point to say that not qualified or something, but these election committee members volunteer for years and years and years, so that they're more qualified than the board members. Secondly, every governing body has committees similar to the election committee that has bodies that can find people, that there's not law enforcement, not prosecutors. There's a federal election committee. It's 288 pages thick of laws, and their committee can levy fines as well. So this is board control. It's plain and simple. This is board control. Yield.
Kim Hampton, go ahead.
So I would like to point out our section 14.119 disciplinary procedures, subsection 3. For serious or repeated violations of order, any board member can move to penalize the offending member, or the chairperson can inquire as to whether the board desires to penalize the offending member. A motion to penalize can include that the offending member be censured or be required to leave the meeting, or both. As used herein, censure refers to the authority of the board to impose a fine or reduce or suspend any benefits that board members receive except the right to attend subsequent meetings, provided, however, that any such fine or reduction or suspension of any benefits shall not exceed $5,000 per censure. The motion requires a second and must be approved by a positive majority. The provisions of section 14.110 may be utilized to prevent the offending board member from voting on a motion to penalize. So I would like to motion to censor Darcy Morrow for repeated violations being out of order.
Second.
Dollar amount? Kim, are you motioning to censor her with a dollar amount?
Yes, I am voting, or I'm motioning to censure Darcy Morrow for repeated violations of order in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
All right, so the motion and second to censor Darcy and fine her $1,000. Discussion.
Yeah, I have a comment to make.
Go ahead.
This would be a first too as well. Her first motion was to remove her. So just to be clear, now it's to censor her in a dollar amount.
Yes.
Point of information, the first motion didn't have a second. This one does.
Correct.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
Anyone else?
You're welcome.
And I would also like to point out that the provisions of this section may be utilized to prevent the offending board member from voting on the motion to penalize. Thank you.
Darcy has no vote on this then. Aaron, how many votes does this take to pass?
He said 7.
7.
All right, roll call vote.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Sean,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
Lana,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Michael,
No.
Tyler,
Yes.
Bridget,
No.
Isaac,
Yes.
6-4.
Motion fails. All right, so we have the motion to conflict those board members out. Are we ready to vote on that, or do we need more discussion, guys?
I have a point of info.
Go ahead.
It just got brought up about the code and whatnot. So I would like to read chapter 14:110 personal interest, number 2. It states, it is the responsibility of each individual board member to notify the chairperson of any potential personal interest in the matter upon which the board of directors is to vote. So rather than second guessing and everything, according to law, that director is required to say that they have a personal interest to the chair. Yield.
Okay.
And
Email
point of
it to me, guys.
information, that's exactly why I asked how much the levies were and who they were.
Okay, well, email me that information, guys. Are we ready to vote?
I have a motion.
What's your motion?
I would like to motion to donate any of the funds that are owed by any of the conflicted to the elders committee of their unit. Therefore, there will be no personal gain.
So there's this money owed, Rob. Where does it come from to pay it, then donate it?
Where would it come from if it was refunded?
Hold on a second, guys. I keep hearing yelling back there. So
Where would it come
gotta stop
from
you
if it
guys.
was refunded?
I'm sorry, Rob, I can't hear you. People in the audience are being really loud.
I said, where would the money come from if it was refunded?
There's nothing on this resolution that talks about refunding anybody. Talks about forgiving existing fines.
Okay.
Do you take away your motion then?
Yep.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this, guys?
No, I have a, I have to ask legal a question.
Go ahead.
Aaron, my, mine was sent back to the election committee the same way Aaron Payments was. So what's the status on that? And it's been months.
I do not know, Betty. If you'd like, I can ask for you, or you can ask yourself. Either way is perfectly fine.
All right, let's roll call this. So this is just to the conflict Isaac, myself, Kim Hampton, and Betty out, and it takes 7 votes, right, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, roll call vote.
Austin, can we have Elaine read that back? Because you missed one.
Okay, this
Yep, go ahead.
is,
Yep.
okay, for the reso for forgiving fines, Darcy had a motion on the floor to conflict out Austin, Isaac, Kim Hampton, Betty Freehite, and Rob. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it.
All right, roll call vote.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Nope.
Sean,
No.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Lana.
Yes.
Motion fails, doesn't have 7. So we're back to the regular resolution. Does anyone need to speak that hasn't spoke 3 times?
Yep, I do.
Go ahead.
My hand's up too. I found that button again. It's awkward. Just a couple of comments with some comments that were made about the election committee and that it's unacceptable and righting wrongs. And I have a little longevity here, so I can say that every single board that I've been on, not just the old board, every single board I've been on did everything in their power to make sure that it wasn't at the board's level to deal with fines or deal with election committee complaints and to secure ourselves for that because it's too political. So it's what is unacceptable is that the board's inserting themselves in that too after, again, 3 decades of having volunteer tribal members on an election committee serve at the will of the entire tribe and the membership for nothing, for free. And if it wasn't for that authority with the election committee, none of us, including the new board, would be sitting here. So we delegated that authority to the election committee. That's where it should remain. And anybody that votes on this, in my opinion, it's just very dangerous, very dangerous.
Darcy.
And again, just like Lana said, I've been here for almost 3 terms. Never have we reached inside to the courts or to the election. And we don't get fines told to us. They don't come running to the board and tell us what fines are. You see them when they're posted on the site, or if people want to tell somebody, that's how people are know what's happening. But to bring it to the board, so what? We can wipe away certain ones that we don't want to get fined. We have nothing to do with the elections, and we shouldn't. That's why we allow the members, that's a committee, they have the authority to do that. And so you're telling them that you have no, you could care less what the members have to say. You don't like your fines, so you're just going to get rid of them. And that's your transparency. Thank you.
Betty.
Yeah, again, that May 10th workshop just demonstrates how Lana and Darcy just stated never, never, never. What happened during that? What happened during that workshop?
It's online for everybody to view.
Everybody saw it.
Point of information. No, Austin, Betty started it. The whole meeting isn't online for people. You don't get to see that. They only wanted to see bits and pieces. Because we know all the stuff that went on. That's
you know what you
definitely
did.
not a
You
point
guys
of
know what you
information.
did.
Betty has the floor. Go ahead, Betty.
Yeah, they know what they did, and I'm sick and tired of listening to hypocrites.
That's out of order too.
I object to that, Austin.
It's
Put that on the
unnecessary.
record, Elaine, please.
So guys, seems like everyone's spoken 3 times. Let's do roll call. I want to share my opinion. I support this resolution. There is an appellate decision from our own appellate court that ruled that certain fines levied against someone in the last election were arbitrary, capricious, and I believe, to quote them exactly, a violation of due process. And that's the issue. There's no due process right now. So, roll call vote.
Okay, this is for the resolution. Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Darcy,
Absolutely no.
Michael,
No.
Lana,
No.
Betty,
Absolutely, yes.
Sean,
No.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Bridget,
No.
Kimberly Lee,
No.
Rob,
Yes.
6, 5-6-0.
Motion fails. The last resolution is transferring investigative authority from election committee to prosecutor's office. Could you read that, Kim?
Now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Directors amends Tribal Code Chapter 10 Election Ordinance at Section 10.120 by adding a new Section 8 as follows. 10.120 Conduct of Contests and Complaints. 8. The prosecutor's office shall conduct any investigations required in the furtherance of this section.
Is there a motion? Motion by Betty,
I'll second.
second by Kim Hampton. Discussion, we can start with Lana and Betty.
Yeah. A while back, we tried to hire a special prosecutor to do investigations with the election complaints because our prosecutor was too nervous to handle with existing seated board members. So now we want to put it in the hands of the prosecutor's office to conduct any investigation, which they're not comfortable. That was the argument we had before, that they're not comfortable. They asked for a special prosecutor. We wouldn't do it. I don't know if the author of this resolution remembers that, but I do. They are not equipped. The prosecutor's office is not equipped to handle and conduct contests and complaints. I won't be supporting this. Another dangerous resolution that will pass. And I would like Aaron Schleober, I hate putting him on the spot, but what exactly is this going to entail? Because it's very brief, but so I better understand it and the membership does. Right now we have an election committee attorney. So what role will they have? And is our prosecutor's office going to be able to handle this in the upcoming elections?
How it would work, to be perfectly blunt, at this point, we do not know. The prosecutor's office and the election committee, and I think the election attorney would have to sit down and figure it out. How these things are done currently are based on, just several decades of practice, maybe for lack of a better word. So I can't answer that question, Lana. It will have to be worked out. What was the second part of your question, Lana?
Well, that was, the other one was just a statement saying that we tried to hire a special prosecutor to look at these things and it failed because the existing prosecutor for our tribe didn't feel comfortable prosecuting elected board of directors. So don't know how this is going to work. So it's just going to be a free-for-all and they're going to be too terrified and intimidated to have any kind of structure to any complaints or contest on people that win an election. That's my opinion. This is scary stuff. This is really scary stuff and everybody should be very, very afraid because I know I am. Can't wait to see what's going to be on the agenda for me next week. Censor me.
Finish up, Lana.
I'm done, Austin.
Okay, Betty.
Yeah, I recall that when the board tried to hire a prosecutor like that. That was another dirty deed. The thing is with the prosecutor, with the May 10th code violations, they were violations of our laws. When all those board of directors and the secretary was sitting in that workshop violating our tribal codes, and more than one. I submitted.
Point of information, that item was on the workshop agenda to discuss, and that's exactly what we did.
I submitted a complaint to the election committee. I submitted a complaint to the chief of police, and I submitted a complaint to the tribal prosecutor. No action was taken with any of them with those violations of our tribal laws. That was all let go. So I agree with Lana. The prosecutor, the election committee turned a blind eye to all that. The chief of police inactions did nothing to the tribal laws. The prosecutor was ineffective there. I yield.
Michael.
Austin, can I get on the list?
Yes.
As reasons I stated before, this is still dangerous, still board interfering. This is political. It's been asserted tonight that the election committee didn't promulgate their rules yet. This gives complaints to a prosecutor's office that doesn't have any rules either. So if your concern was rules and promulgating, then let's get to that, which I've already stated has been done in the past. If we need to revisit it, let's revisit it. But this is passing the buck and making it political. I yield.
Okay, Isaac.
Motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so there's motion to table, there's support, it's not debatable. So this would obviously take it off the agenda. We talk about it more. Roll call.
Bridget,
Yes.
Darcy,
Yeah, I guess.
Tyler,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Kimberly Lee,
Yes.
Kimberly Hampton,
Yes.
Rob,
No.
Lana,
Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. The resolution is tabled. Is there any objection to waiving the rules to adding the following item under new business, amending the board schedule? We need to, as per our conversation, change the meeting location for June 6th to Sault Ste. Marie. Any objection? Okay, so we'll move on to that item under new business then. Is there a motion to move the June 6th meeting from St. Ignace to the Sioux?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, then we'll vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Those abstaining? All right, motion carries and the board calendar has been amended. With that, we've concluded with all the items on today. Without objection, we will adjourn the special meeting. Hearing no objections, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice night.